Hiya YouTube, Sean Johnson here, and you're listening to More Than First Person Shooters, episode number 3. That's right. And today we're going to be discussing a game by the name of Radiant Historia, published and developed by Atlus for the Nintendo DS. So let me set the stage for you here. It's 2011. You glance over at your nightstand and notice a dusty old Nintendo DS. While nostalgia kicks in from time to time, let's face it, by now your Nintendogs have probably starved to death and Mario Kart simply isn't the challenge it used to be. So, like any true gamer, you head over to your local game shop and see if there's anything new coming out. But, lo and behold, there is not much. It's reaching the end of its life cycle, and Nintendo is focusing on pumping out their newest consoles, as we now know them today, the 3DS and the Wii U. But, one game catches your glance, and you decide to buy it, and it turns out to be one of the best games you've played, at least for that console, let me tell ya. And that game is Radiant Historia. This game is an RPG, turn-based, and I guess that's not so surprising because the DS is pretty popular RPGs are pretty popular on the DS, but a lot of them aren't so great. Just to name a few, A Witch's Tale, 57%, let's see what else we got here. I'm looking at a list. We got Lunar Dragon Song, 59%, Sands of Destruction, 65%. They're not getting that good reviews, people. That's just how it is. And while I wish I could make that judgment myself, I'm not going to sit through a 30-hour game to make that assessment. So, your other option is to play some remakes. You got Final Fantasy 3 and 4, you got Chrono Trigger, you got Pokemon Heart Gold, all remakes of great games, but you've played them already, and you're not going to sit through that again just to get some updated graphics. So, this game is truly a gem that came out on a system that, you know what, it can be a little hard to find at least a really excellent RPG. But look no further, here it is. As far as the story goes, you are the main character Stock, and your goal is to defeat the nation of Grenorg, all while also ceasing desertification, which is where people mysteriously turn into sand. So literally you have a local problem and a worldwide problem falling right on your shoulders. And as you will soon discover, fate just does not want you to do it, and you must travel back in time and revise history again and again, perhaps one time learning a new skill, or next time gathering new information, or simply choosing another path, making a different decision than you normally would. And how do you do this, you may ask? Well, you are soon in the game granted the power of the White Chronicle, granted by these mysterious twins, Teo and Lipti, who will guide you throughout the game and essentially give their feedback as to what you might want to do next. Now, although this may seem like they're giving information away, a lot of the times you have to think a bit, and you just have to do some trial and error, see which timeline works the best, and go forth and just try your best. And although it may seem pretty simple just to defeat Grenorg and stop the desertification, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. You'll make some pretty unusual allies, and you'll have to discover some really bizarre information, shocking information. So overall, I'd say the story is really interesting, may lag at times, but overall, really grand in scheme. As far as the characters go, Stock is your ordinary main character, pretty stoic, doesn't show many emotions, but you can tell his heart's in the right place. And he essentially travels around with these two people the entire time, named Rainy and Marco. And while Rainy is the feisty one, Marco is the really laid-back and kind of cautious fellow. And what's kind of funny is that these two are often the source of your diverging decisions. They'll both come up with ideas of what you should do next, and one will be cautious, one will be really risky. Sometimes the risk pays off, sometimes it doesn't. So that's often the times what happens. And I'm not going to spoil too many other characters for you, but one that I do like, that you'll meet relatively early, is named Ott. She's a beast-kind girl, and it's kind of funny because you'd figure that you wouldn't like the hyper character, because that's who she is. She's really hyper, really kind of kiddish, but at the same time she's really likable, doesn't really annoy you too much, but she often insists that she must come along on the journey and must partake in saving the world. And let me tell you, she's pretty awesome, and she can do pretty cool things. And she's also part of a big secret that you'll find out later in the game. Something she can do that you did not know early on. Anyhow, one other character that you meet pretty soon is named Rosh. He's pretty much like a warmonger guy, really big in the army and loyal to Alistel, but you'll see he's torn often as to what to do. And really interesting character, you'll see a lot about him later. Okay, so how does the music sound in this game to accompany your journey? Well, it's nothing short of pretty friggin' great. Not spectacular. There's some tracks that kind of sound similar to a lot of RPGs, not too out there. In that it sounds kind of Renaissance-y, you could tell. By the way, the music is by the composer Yoko Shimomura, who is the brains behind games such as Mario & Luigi, the Mana series, and hey, my personal favorite, Kingdom Hearts. Really spectacular soundtrack, in my opinion. So yeah, you'll find some themes are really good, such as the cave theme, jungle theme, and the battle theme. That one is really orchestral, really freaking great, which is good. And you'll find some others that are just standard, but nothing bad, let me tell you. Okay, and accompanying this music, in addition, is the battle system. This is what the whole game is about. A lot of RPGs overlook the battle system. That's one of the most important aspects. That's what you're going to be playing for all this time. And let me say, this is probably the best battle system in any RPG I've ever played. Ever. That's why I didn't like RPGs too much. The gameplay always sucked. But no, as far as turn-based RPGs, this is truly the cream of the crop. So what it really is a 3x3 grid, and you have to defeat enemies that are positioned without. And it's really interesting. There's so much depth to the gameplay, so much things you need to think about. One strategy is to push all your enemies in one little square, one of those 3x3 squares, and attack them all at once. Maybe you want to poison one and let it slowly kill them. Maybe you want to, because eventually when you level up, you'll get different moves that can attack in different square patterns. Maybe you can attack one whole column. Maybe you can do a star pattern, not a star pattern, and an X pattern, more or less. Get the corners. And yeah, so you can push them and move them around into those locations and really nail them at the end. Or perhaps you're going to want to attack the closer enemies who will do more damage, but at the same time you can do more damage to them. So perhaps if they're a really strong enemy, you want to push them back. So really, so much freaking stuff going on with this. There's a weakness system, there's a multiplier system in that you can change the order of your characters and string together a bunch of attacks that eventually become really powerful. Just a really great battle system, really deep. This will keep you busy and is going to be really fun. And another thing that I really like about this game is that there is not much grinding at all. There's really one little section I can think about where you kind of have to grind a lot, otherwise it'll be a real drag, having to really go through items quickly. So I would recommend grinding at least a little bit. It's not completely bereft of that, but for the most part, not there. And as far as the length goes, very good length. Will keep you busy for a while. A good 40 hours in my opinion. If you want to just get the basics and maybe a few side quests here and there, that's about what I'm at. So yeah, you'll stay busy for a while. Good length for an RPG. And just some odd-end things to talk about. The side quests in this game are really quite interesting. They're fun to do. You get some good rewarding items and equipment, so I'd say worth it to do so. But I must say that is also one of my criticisms of the game. They're sometimes hard to find where you need to go back in time. Like, they may say, oh, I need this item. Go get it somewhere. And then you're like, holy crap, there's like 300 events in this game. I don't know which one to go to. And another thing that's kind of hard about this game is that, let's say the item is in Cygnus, right? Okay, so, not Cygnus, let's say Alistel. So in different parts of the game, parts of Alistel will be cut off, so you can't go there. So you might think, oh, I'll just go right here, right now, in this part of the timeline, in Alistel, and I'll just be able to waltz around wherever I please. No, not the case. A part might be blocked off. Especially the case in Lavie's Hills, it's called. Ugh, it's just a nightmare to go there, because sometimes he'll run into the place where you'd exit, and it'll just say, oh, can't go there, I should probably talk to so-and-so first. So yeah, really frustrating at times. Another criticism of the game is that the start is kind of slow. Just in that, let's face it here, the gameplay is good at first, because you still have your, you can push enemies into each other and attack them. Not that deep yet, though. And unfortunately, you have to sort of listen to your superiors, and they're just like, go here, meet this person, okay, now come back here, talk to me, now defeat this little agent in this store. I mean, it's just a lot of tedious things that do not really get you into the game so much. Nothing really big or important goes on, so you're going to be waiting a bit if you want to start the game, but let me tell you, it is worth it, definitely. And another thing I think a lot of people might not like about the game, as far as time traveling goes, is that it's pretty linear. I mean, really, you stick to two storylines, and often if the path diverges, not in the beginning, but elsewhere, it'll either end in failure or success. So, I mean, if you fail once, you just go right back to the point and then keep going. There are a few points later in the game where this isn't the case, and then you jump more than between two timelines, but for the most part, relatively linear. Despite its slow start, Radiant Historia is an outstanding game, succeeding in nearly every criterion, be it music, storyline, or duration. And let's not forget perhaps the best, deepest, and most satisfying turn-based battle system that JRPGs have ever known. Radiant Historia for the Nintendo DS receives a 9.3 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching, and hey, feel free to check out the rest of my video game reviews, and also the other interesting junk on my channel. Well, until we meet again.